In this episode, we'll be discussing the most haunted location in America. Known widely for being the inspiration behind Stephen King's The Shining, the Stanley Hotel has become one of the most popular destinations to ghost hunt due to the strange and unexplainable paranormal occurrences.
So, how much do you know about the Stanley Hotel? How much do you know about the hauntings of it and the background?
Well, I know that it's a popular place, and I know that it's associated with Stephen King.
Yeah.
Because Stephen King wrote The Shining, and wasn't it based
It was
on?
inspired from his time staying at the hotel.
It was inspired by it was inspired from his experience at the Stanley Hotel.
Because he had a lot of vivid dreams
I believe
when he was there.
that he had, dreams or experiences over the night, and I believe that in the morning he went out on his balcony for a cigarette, and while he was having his cigarette, he came up with the whole story in his head.
I thought that he heard noises and then he asked about it, but then they said no one else was there.
I'm pretty sure this may be hearsay, I may be getting mixed up. If I remember correctly, he wasn't meant to be staying that night, but he'd been snowed in. If I remember correctly, there was a lot of snow, and he couldn't get out, so he had to stay at that hotel. And I believe that he was one of the only guests there that night, maybe even the only guest.
I believe so.
Because of snow. That may be wrong. Getting ready to close due to the upcoming heavy snow. That's why it was so empty when Stephen King stayed there.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure after he had dreams, and after that he thought, oh yeah, let me write this down, let me make it into something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had a weird night, woke up, had a cigarette, and while he was having a cigarette, he kind of came up with The Shining in his head. But
one of the most famous hauntings of the hotel was from an incident that occurred in room 217. A housekeeper, her name was Elizabeth Wilson, was injured in an explosion caused by a gas leak whilst lighting a lantern in the room. Guests report items being moved, lights turning on and off, and luggage being apparently someone's luggage got unpacked for them.
Yeah.
Not them. But let's be real, did a ghost do that? Well, a ghost is not touching your underwear.
I've heard people with similar experiences like this. Not the Stanley Hotel, but in Essex.
Really?
My grandma used to live in a place when my mum was little. And they said they had a friendly ghost there that would just untie shoelaces, tie up shoelaces, do different things like that. When my grandma left the house, I believe a friend's daughter moved in there.
Yeah.
My grandma did not tell her that she thinks it's haunted because she didn't want to scare her off. But this friend's daughter had a bad experience there and did leave in the end. She had her washing in the washing machine.
Yeah.
And the washing machine weren't turned on. It was just laundry sat in the washing machine. It wasn't turned on. So it couldn't have exploded everywhere. She left, and when she came downstairs the next morning, all her laundry was hung around the kitchen, at different parts of the kitchen.
What? And you think that was a ghost?
And I said, surely the washing machine could have just exploded and it could have came out.
And it hung the clothes.
No, but she says no, the clothes were hung everywhere, and also the washing machine wasn't on.
Do you think she did that though and just forgot?
No, it was hung in random creepy places around the kitchen, not just hung up on a line, strung around the kitchen. Oh, see,
that's what I thought you meant, hung up on a line.
No, strung around the kitchen on different bits.
Oh, that's scary.
That's why I said, it could have been spinning round and then the door could have opened and it could have burst out. No, the thing wasn't on.
That's really weird.
So there's a story that might, be...
That might explain the luggage being unpacked. Allegedly, couples who are unmarried have felt a presence between them when they've been in bed. Did you know about that?
Is this to do with a ghost who may have certain opinions and certain strong beliefs?
Do you think?
Because if there's a certain... it's only couples that are unmarried, I reckon it's a case of it's a ghost who has a very strong belief about couples who are not married in bed together.
Yeah.
But no, about this, it opened in 1909,
Yeah.
and basically, not long after it opened in 1909, stories of paranormal activity started circulating. Oscar Stanley, the hotel's owner, and his wife Flora were among the first to report strange occurrences. Flora claimed that she could still hear music coming from the music room even after she had passed. My point is I was coming up with ideas to talk about this in this podcast when you told me it was going to be about the Stanley Hotel. And I was going to bring up a point. Do you think that it is so... People think it's so haunted purely, once again, placebo effect. I was going to say, Stephen King's story, obviously The Shining, has influenced people to obviously believe it's scary because it's based on his experience from that. I was going to say, that's why everyone thinks it's haunted.
Yeah.
But it's not. It can't be, because he stayed in 1974. That's when he had his experience.
Yeah.
And there were paranormal stories from this place since it opened in 1909.
Yeah.
And I've debunked my own theory.
You actually have.
I thought that would be an interesting thing to say on perspective. But obviously it is well known because of The Shining.
Well, obviously, yeah.
But that was much later on. There were things going on. So Stephen King, there were experiences before him. So it's not...
So it's more likely to be real than be someone expecting.
Since it was opening, there were people... So are we right by saying he stayed in 217? 217. And apparently that's where he stayed. Apparently that's said to be particularly
That's the most haunted.
active.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sound of a piano playing in the middle of the night is also a common occurrence.
I was just about to talk about that.
Go for it.
Well, no, it was just about people hearing the piano play. And I'm pretty sure someone had seen a piano being played, even though no one was there. But also, I think pianos do that. The keys can get a bit messed up, I'm quite sure.
I'm not sure. I'd freak out if that happened to me.
But on top of the hearing things as well, hearing the piano and whatever, people have heard the words "get out" or "quiet, please."
They've also heard children's laughter.
Yep. There's a lot of noises.
There's
not
a
as
lot
many
of children
seeings.
I've heard about. Like what is the famous story? Right. Here's a question for you, because I actually don't know this. Is The Shining the one with the two little girls?
Yeah. Oh,
is that from his experience, or was that an added on character for the...
Do you know, I'm not sure. Do you think? Because staff and guests have said, and they've said this for a while, I'm pretty sure, that the fourth floor of the hotel is haunted by the laughter and footsteps of children. Haunted by children.
So...
Particularly near room 401.
I've heard... So... I remember hearing this, but I've just validated it. The creepy twin girls in The Shining were not based on a real experience Stephen King had. They were totally a product of his imagination. So
that's
Stephen
interesting,
King
though.
Had an experience at the Stanley Hotel, and that's what encouraged him to create The Shining. He stood there and created The Shining in his head. But obviously, he was writing a book or movie or whatever it was, he obviously is going to add adaptations to the story because he's a storyteller.
Yeah.
So he created two little girls. Now, do you think these two little girls, you're saying what floor is it that is haunted by
the fourth floor?
Haunted by the footsteps and laughter of children.
Yeah.
That's
where they're most heard. They're heard most often.
So that's haunted by little children.
Yeah.
Or whatever. That could have been what influenced him to create, right, well, this floor is... I've heard some dodgy things.
Well, but I thought he didn't. I thought that's what you just said. That it wasn't.
But it could have been...
Unconsciously.
He didn't see two girls, but he could have heard a child's laughter and been like, how can I represent this in my story? I need a character. Two twin girls, very creepy. Could have been an influence. But my question is, was the fourth floor haunted by children before The Shining came out?
That's a good question.
Because we're hearing 1909 it opened and the paranormal stories begun. But were there paranormal experiences with children before 1974? Or before The Shining came out? Because he visited in 1974, wrote The Shining, has these two twin girl characters in The Shining, encouraged people's imaginations to believe, oh my god, I heard a child's laughter.
Also, I feel like
but they're thinking of The Shining.
I feel like laughter is also quite a stereotypical, like, spooky thing. Oh, I heard, like, and kids as well, a little girl laughing.
Yeah,
that's scary.
Yeah, that's horrible. Very stereotypical.
Yeah. There's also the grand staircase, apparently is very haunted by ghosts.
I have a story about this.
Do you?
Well, not a story, but I know that there is an image of the grand staircase.
Yeah.
That has like a... I know that the Stanley Hotel has some evidence to it being haunted. You know, other places we've said it hasn't got any evidence.
Yeah.
I know there is some image evidence.
What is it
I know there are a few images at the Stanley Hotel where there appear to be certain ghosts in them.
People have said that they have seen, maybe what you have seen is Stanley, his name, that's his surname, I'm pretty sure. Because people have said they've seen him and his wife in the lobby walking up the stairs.
Owners.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they've seen them walking up the stairs.
People, I believe, people have seen... I've heard about this from a YouTube video.
Oh, really?
So it's all hearsay. But apparently people have seen, like, a woman coming down the stairs.
Do you think that's his wife?
It's interesting. Now, I have got an image up. Ghostly image captured at the Stanley Hotel. Basically, this is a very popular image.
There's
a lot of evidence.
Oh, interesting.
So and someone just took a picture, and when they looked back at the picture, they saw that.
Yeah.
They didn't notice it. Apparently, they didn't notice it before the picture. But the problem here is that 3 theories.
3.
We are believing the photographer. The photographer's story is that they took a picture. They were going around taking pictures. When they looked back at the pictures
after... It just so happened. But you didn't see it in the moment?
When they looked back at the pictures after, that's when they noticed the figure. That could be true. There's the truth. That could be true. That story could be true. Or, that looks like a person to me. That don't look like a ghost. Look like a person. That looks like a person. I believe... Shall we try and show some ghost evidence? You get in an old dress, love,
up there,
and we'll pop you on the top of the stairs for a little picture. She's probably just dressed up as an old-fashioned person and stood on the stairs posing. But also, Photoshop as well. It's all having to believe.
Also, how do we know though? What if there's an original image of that photo and people have just like edited it to play it up?
I've heard that in the Stanley Hotel, there's a kind of staircase corridor room with mirrors.
Right.
It's apparently quite meant to be.
I don't like mirrors.
It's meant to be a bit dodge. Can't remember what. I remember watching a video and I know that they weren't there to be like, oh, this is a dodgy part. This is like.
Do you think someone appeared in the mirror behind them? Because that's terrifying.
There's also more. There's another one. There's a few kind of dodgy pictures. This is another popular picture.
Oh.
So, what I take from that picture is a picture of all the visitors. It looks like the faint outline image of a little girl.
Yeah.
And it's got light shining.
But it's just, how do you not see that in the moment? Or do you think it's only seen when you take the picture?
Well, that's the point. Ghosts can sometimes just appear in your technology, but not in the moment. I see a lot of ghost hauntings where, in the moment, they don't pick up things on the audio.
Yeah.
But then they're listening back to the audio when they're editing. Like right now, someone could have just said, "Burger."
But again, do you think
they're editing it?
Yeah, and also, do you think this goes back to what we were speaking a lot about on the last episode, expecting to see or hear something. If you're doing a ghost recording and you're wanting a ghost to communicate to you, you're going to be listening through, hoping to hear.
Clickbait.
Yeah.
I want viewers. I'm going to play
Let
this
me
up
lie.
really spooky.
Do you think that's what the photographers in that did? Let me take a picture. Let's pretend that there was a little girl walking there. I'm going to make bank from telling everyone that I took this picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what else is spooky about the hotel?
What?
There's like servant tunnels, I suppose. I don't know if that's what they're called. But there's like tunnels underneath the hotel, and from going down there, people have said, again, cold spots. What that means, who truly knows? Because maybe you're just a bit cold.
Cold spots, yes.
And shadows, and also the smell of smoke or perfume. So now smell is coming into it,
That picture,
which is something that I don't think people think about. What do ghosts smell like? Have you ever smelled a
interesting
ghost?
point about that picture. The picture I showed you of the woman on the staircase.
Yeah.
Guess when it was took?
Oh, is it before?
It was took in 1996. So, one popular story involves a photo taken in 1996 that seems to show a ghostly figure on the staircase.
That's interesting. And you know what?
Yeah, Photoshop was definitely around in 1996.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, it was definitely around. That's what.
In 1996?
It had been out for a few years already and was becoming widely used for photo editing, but it may have not been that good.
Yeah.
It may have not been able to produce an image like that. So that kind of cuts out Photoshop. However,
Yeah.
there's still such thing as that doesn't look like a ghostly figure. To me, that looks like a woman.
No, also, do you know what the thing is? Though, someone could get a picture that was taken, then Photoshop it. It doesn't have to be from the moment. Someone could go today, get a picture from the hotel, and
Yeah, but
or like an old picture that was taken in 19 whatever, and Photoshop it today.
Or it could have been a woman dressed up, on the
Yeah,
stairs,
on the stairs.
and they're saying, "Smile, love." Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you look really creepy. You look like a ghost in that. We can make some bank off
Do you
this.
know what? Honestly,
We'd
yeah.
do that. We'll get you to dress up as a trainer.
I'll wear
and
like
be
a
walking down the stairs.
Like a gown.
Yeah, exactly. We could do that. We'd be taking the mick.
Yeah.
It's funny. That just doesn't. It looks creepy, but maybe they've portrayed it to look creepy.
Talking about seeing ghosts as well, people from doing investigations at the hotel have said they've seen orbs, which isn't exactly a ghost, but do you know
Could
orbs?
be dust.
That's what I think. Every time someone's like, "Oh, look at this, an orb floating past," dust.
Like
babe.
me, a few years ago,
That's
me and
dust.
my dad used to always film videos in his house before it all got done up, and he'd be like, "Look at all the orbs flying around. That's insane, that." And I'm like, "Mate, your house is just dusty, and
Yeah.
my phone quality is just a bit bad because it's all pixelated."
I don't know the difference, to be honest with you. Or, I don't know what an orb looks like necessarily. I know what dust looks like, and when I see an orb, I think that's dust. But I don't know if an orb is supposed to look like something else.
An orb is usually like a kind of. When I've seen orbs in videos, and they say, "Look at this orb," and they circle it, it's like a white ball flying.
Orb!
Look at this orb, and then they circle it, and it's like a white ball flying across
Yeah,
the video.
but again, well, that's just a massive bit of dust. Or, again, not real. You just put in a little dot. So, from that, do you or do you not believe that the hotel is haunted? Do you think it's made up? Also, I just like to add, again, before you give your input, I feel as if these places get a lot of money from egging it up a bit, saying, "Oh, come here, look how haunted this place is." And then you get loads and loads of visitors, because how many people have been to the hotel to do a YouTube video? So many.
Spot on.
Yeah.
That's something I would not have thought of. With all these haunted locations, you're absolutely right. Of course they're going to reg it on.
Yeah.
Oh, one paranormal story, let's build it up a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what also, you know when someone goes to a haunted place and they're doing a video, there's normally like a guide or someone, you know? I always feel like they're lying. You know when there's...
Bad vibes of the guide.
Yes. Because they're always saying something. It's
money,
like, but how can I...
money.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they're playing it up.
First of all, customer service.
Customer service?
Customer service and businesses. Let's think. How are we going to get more customers into our... You're a hotel runner.
How are we going to get
What's your
people
worry?
talking about our hotel?
What's your worry? As a hotel owner or someone who works at a hotel, what's your worry? What you're earning and how to get more popular so you can earn more, or, oh my god, I saw a ghost down the corridor.
Yeah.
No, you're just like living your life. You want some money.
Yeah.
If you're running a hotel, running a business, what's your worry? Money.
Yeah.
Not, oh, I tripped over a stairwell and I saw a man. No, you're worried about money. That's the point of running your business. Money. Okay? So, yeah, I did not think of that. That's an amazing point from you, actually. You've opened my mind. A lot. Not in all circumstances, but a lot of these most famous haunted locations where they have businesses running, visitors going, it's going to be about money, and it's going to be, let's really kind of roll this story up.
Yeah.
Because what do you get? First of all, haunted locations are popular, aren't they?
Very popular.
What do you get from saying a place is really haunted? More people visiting.
You get so much talk about it.
Stories, hearsay, videos made on it. And what do all these things lead to?
Money.
People visiting. And
money.
what does that lead to?
Money.
Money. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think there's some truth in it and they've just been played up by whoever?
It's either some truth that's been played up, because also some people experiencing these things, they won't be lying. They might have experienced a door slam.
That's a
but
very
they're
common
thinking
thing.
That was a ghost.
Yeah.
Yes, they experienced a door slam, but it was the bloody breeze.
Yeah.
It wasn't a ghost. Or maybe it was. We'll never know.
We will never, ever, ever know.
But you can play that on. They might not be playing it on, but you tell people. People hear, oh, business owner, everyone's having weird experiences at this hotel. Let's play it up. We can make a TikTok account.
Yeah.
And that will be popular. That gets us more money.
And do you know what the
Booyah.
thing is as well? People, so not only are the haunted locations whatever playing up, but then people going there, they play it up, they make a YouTube video. They're like, oh my god, guys, I got touched.
Exactly.
Thumbnail,
Exactly.
them being grabbed. First clip of the video. Oh my god, someone just touched me. Someone just spoke into my ear.
Coming up.
Coming
Oh
up.
my god, did you hear that boy whisper?
Literally.
I just saw a face in the dungeon.
It's like an endless loop of
Yeah.
lying, money, money, lying, money,
playing
money.
up,
Playing up, money,
scientifically explained situations.
See,
Perfectly.
that's why I have such a hard time believing in paranormal experiences and ghosts.
Because not all haunted locations will be this way.
Not
But
at
I
all.
guarantee you, there's one or two that are,
Yeah.
let's pretend our place is haunted
Yeah.
for business.
Do you think that's quite an do you think people might be mad about that opinion?
Yeah,
People
because it
who
will
really,
be,
really
it
believe.
will be the case of how dare you invalidate those people's
Yeah.
experiences and accuse them of wanting money.
Yeah.
Because I
That
think
is what we're doing.
that's actually kind of bad, yeah. Because in this subject, it might be a bit better because it's ghosts and paranormal.
Yeah.
But in a lot of subjects that we're not going to go into, where people do have experiences and they're real valid experiences that are trauma, people will say, you're doing this for money.
Yeah.
You just want to be, you want to sue them.
Ooh.
So we might be being a bit bullies. But it's okay in a paranormal topic, just not in other topics.
Well, I think we're just skeptical.
Yeah, I think when it's business, I'm not going to... If someone says they had a really hard night last night and it was terrifying and they experienced seeing shadow figures, I'm not going to say you just want money. But if a business is hyping up that their place is haunted, partially the reason they will be doing it is to attract customers. And what do customers bring?
Money! So moral of the story, ghosts aren't real, money is real. End of. That's our podcast. That's
But
podcast.
my opinion on the place is
Yeah, so let's get back to that.
could be haunted,
Could be. Might not be.
open to it being haunted, but there are other explanations for all of this.
Absolutely.
Whether it's lies, whether it's scientific, whether it's driven, by certain
Money.
factors of life.
Yeah.
Being
Money!
exactly. What's your opinion? You agree with me?
Well, obviously, yeah, because I do not believe in ghosts whatsoever. No, not whatsoever, maybe.
You want them to be real, but you do not believe in them.
Yeah. Yeah, I also feel like... It's fine. I don't know, I feel like there's never... And maybe this is stupid to say, but there's not often something like... When it comes to ghosts and haunted locations, it's often the same kinds of things. These people heard footsteps or they saw someone walking up the stairs. When hasn't someone seen someone walking down a hallway, walking upstairs, whatever, when they go to a haunted place? You know?
Yeah.
It's so, like, always the same thing occurring. It's, like, it gets a bit old, maybe.
What is getting old? If ghosts were real, yeah, you've led me on to another rant now.
Okay.
If ghosts were real, if I was a ghost, I wouldn't be...
I'd be
slamming a
desperate
door.
for people to know I'm here.
I wouldn't be
I'd be
slam-
doing
I
everything.
wouldn't be slamming a door. I wouldn't be pulling a duvet off the
I wouldn't
bed.
be stood
I
here
would
just
be
watching.
making a burger float. All the ghost stories are typical. Door slam.
Exactly, that's my point. It's
If
the
I
same
was
thing.
a ghost, I would be making a burger float. I'd be like doing things that ghosts don't do. I'd be...
But what if you're not allowed to, what if there's like, as a ghost, you're not allowed to do that?
No, so it's not that, because if you're a ghost, I'm sure there's not rules in Ghost World. You know what it is, and this is what the ghost experts and this is what the ghost believers will say.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You're stepping into their shoes.
In their shoes, right now, we're saying, oh, if you're a ghost, at least do something fun.
Yeah.
It's all the same stories. Do you know what they would reply to that?
What would they reply?
And I do agree, if ghosts are real, I reckon this is true. Ghosts have a certain amount of power they can use. It takes them a lot of... If you ever watched Stranger Things, think about Eleven
Yeah.
from Stranger Things.
Oh, do you think?
Takes her a lot of power to do certain things, and then she runs out of battery sort of thing.
So do you think when a ghost, say a door slams and it's a ghost
They're
maybe,
using a lot of their energy.
it's all of their power
They're
to do
using a
that
lot
and
of
that's
their
all they
energy.
can do?
Well, yeah, for the next 2 days, and then they'll show up again. It's using a lot of their energy. Now, I'm not making up this theory. I've heard people say this theory.
Yeah.
About,
I've never heard this theory.
And do you
Quite
want to know
interesting.
why people ask ghosts to do such simple things? Because something we haven't spoken about is when they talk to ghosts.
Yeah.
Just not experience when they're actually trying to see the ghost.
Yeah.
The reason they ask them to do such simple things, can I have a tap, please? Can you do one tap
Because it
for
uses
me?
less power.
It's because it uses less of their power. If you say, make that TV fly, it's never
It's
gonna
not going to...
gonna
But
happen.
what happens then when you see... Because there are times where...
Well, they've put all their power into it, but it's took them a while. Because that's
Yeah.
not happening all the time. The ghost stories you hear are the stereotypical door slamming, windows opening, doors opening. And that's because it uses less power.
That's really interesting, actually.
So that would be an argument. If we had a ghost believer in the room, that would be their argument. All about the amount of energy they're using.
Yeah.
Which is why they are the ghost. People who talk to ghosts will be like, Sarah, can you tap twice on my shoulder if you're here? Because it uses less energy. They're not going to be like, can you start my car up for me and get me a
Start my car up. Drive me home.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
So you're
crazy.
kind of leaning on the you don't necessarily believe.
I don't believe it, but I know I do understand. I do not believe in ghosts. I want to believe in ghosts. I don't want to see a ghost. I want to believe in them. I don't believe in them. Do not want to see a ghost. Don't want to experience with them. It must be horrible.
Mm.
But I can see and understand, and I'm very aware and I'm very open to the story of our opposition, which is ghost believers.
Mm.
I am very open and aware of their story and of their points.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm open to them. I think that energy power thing makes so much sense. Isn't
Honestly,
that interesting?
That is quite I've never thought of it in that way, to be honest.
It opens your eyes a bit. Like, that is a valid point. If ghosts were real, I reckon that's a thing.
But then it's just, why do they have such little power?
They're dead.
Oh,
Can you
do you
make
think
a
that's what
burger
it is?
fly?
I can't. No.
Exactly. Why do you have little power? Exactly.
That That's
power,
good, actually.
Betsy.
That's good.
Exactly. There you go.
Sorry. That's
But
very
can you
interesting.
open a drawer?
Yeah.
Can you slam a door?
Yeah. But
Can
I'm not
you
a ghost.
put wet footprints everywhere?
Yeah, I can.
So can ghosts, because they were you once as well,
And
and then they died. When
That's
you die,
really
you're not going to be able to
interesting.
suddenly make a burger fly, are you?
That's a
But
really
you can
good
still
point.
have all of your past qualities from life.
That's a good point.